If you have ancestors who are from Ireland or Wales or Scotland, let me click this, right? Do I know how to do this? Maybe I put it in the wrong place. Oh well. I wanted to show a map. Ireland, Wales, Scotland, the part of England called Cornwall. There we go, the very southwest tip of England there. Or the part of France called Brittany. Anybody here has any relations there? Yo, look at that. Online too. You are connected to the Celtic lands. 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, in those Celtic lands, the pagans who lived there built stone monuments to align carefully with where the stone appeared on the dawn, where the sun appeared on the dawn horizon on February 1st. You know, like Stonehenge? It's an astronomical predictor. They would do that, and February 1st was one of those special dates. Around February 1st, we are halfway between the winter solstice, which is the first day of winter, and the spring equinox, the first day of spring. It's the midpoint of winter. Can you show us the next slide there? Yeah. So the Celtic pagans celebrate the solstices, winter and summer, which are top and bottom there, the equinoxes, fall and spring, and the days midway between, like this one, which are called cross quarters. The one around February 1st is called Imbolc. It's spelled like that, I-M-B-O-L-C, and it's pronounced Imbolc. All right, so another question for y'all. Who has lived somewhere cold? Like maybe in one of the places that got hit by all that, lived somewhere really cold. Who has visited a place where it gets cold in the winter? If you didn't live there, you visited there, like, you know, there's snow and ice and temperatures below freezing or below zero. Okay, so now we are going to use one of our most sacred talents, our imaginations, because here we are in Santa Rosa, and if you post pictures to friends of the magnolias blooming, they will be very upset because they don't think that's supposed to happen in winter. Okay, so we have to imagine ourselves into a really cold place, okay, like the Celtic lands. It's winter, and it's a long time ago. All right, so you live by farming, raising crops and animals, but it's very cold. Nothing will grow all winter, of course. It's dark, the nights are long, and the days are short. And electric light hasn't been invented yet. In fact, gas light hasn't been invented yet. It's pretty dark once the sun starts to go down. You can't dig in the frozen ground. You can't plant anything. Nothing's growing in the fields and forests that you eat. You have to manage with what you've stored up from last summer and fall's harvests. You got that? You feel hungry? Do you feel cold? Draw a little closer. Now, most of the time, living in the winter in these cold places, you stay indoors by the fire where it's warm and you have some light. And you also use a very intense fire, the fire of the forge, to make tools. Winter is a really good time to do that because you can't be plowing and hoeing and all those things. So you make new plows and hoes and you sharpen the ones you've got, and you make sure, or axes and so on, your saws, so that they'll be ready when the weather is warm enough to use them again. And you tend your animals. You're a farmer. In these countries that I showed, you probably have sheep. If you're lucky, in the winter, a lot of your sheep are pregnant. You want to have a bigger flock, right? And you want sheep that are producing milk for you to drink. So all through the winter, another one of your jobs is to keep the barns warm and take good care of the ewes, the female sheep, so that the lambs will be born healthy and the ewes will have lots of milk to give. That way, you'll have a good year and enough to eat. Some people who study languages think that the word imbolc comes from a root meaning in the belly. Something that people were thinking of at this time of year was the bellies of the animals and hoping everything went well there. So, all right, so it's cold, it's dark, the food is very boring, and you're just kind of making your tools and tending your animals. When you get to the beginning of February, you're halfway to spring. So it's a time to celebrate. And that helps everyone be resilient enough to make it the rest of the way. Some people might think, oh my goodness, we're halfway. And some people might think, oh, we're only halfway. But either way, it's a moment to recognize, okay, we made it this far. We do it again, and it'll be spring. And at Emog, the ancient Celtic people celebrated the thing that gave them light and heat and comfort and healthy animals and new tools, and that would be louder? Fire. I heard people out there know it. Fire, of course, fire. Very, very important. Many people still celebrate fire at Emog, including us here in our congregation. You can come to a CUPS event, stands for the Covenant of Unitarian Universalist Pagans, to celebrate this and other pagan festivals anytime. Now, there is a goddess who is worshipped particularly here at Emog. She is the goddess of fire and of smiths, like blacksmiths, the people who use fire to shape metal into tools. Her name is Bridget. One of the followers of Bridget in our own time and our own place is named Starhawk. Anybody hear of Starhawk? Oh, yeah. Starhawk is a feminist activist for peace and the earth and the rights of all beings, and she creates rituals for the solstices and equinoxes and cross quarters, like this holiday today, to help us connect to elements such as fire and goddess figures such as Bridget. She wants to help us know our power, especially those among us who are usually considered powerless. And she uses these holidays to remind us of the things that need changing in order to make a better world, which are probably pretty much on our minds right now. Now, one year, many years ago, around February 1st, Emog, Starhawk led a Bridget ritual not far from here. There was going to be a big action the next day to try to stop our government from making more nuclear bombs. And the ritual ended with each person who was participating making a commitment to action about this. Bombs are a perfect example of how fire is so powerful and it can do harm if it's in the form of bombs and other weapons. And with the words of this Bridget ritual, everyone there got to remind themselves that there is another way to use fire, to forge the tools that will help us to make things better, including our own hearts. These words went, part of them, sacred flame, flame of the forge, we have been tempered by red hot rage and love. Bridget, bring us out of the forge. Give us strength and length, the form of a leaf and a cutting edge. Now, paganism was a religion of many thousands of years ago in Celtic lands, such as Ireland, and then much later in the Middle Ages, Christianity came to Ireland. Instead of telling people not to worship the goddess Bridget anymore, the Christian church, in this case the Catholic Church, adapted the stories about her to teach their own beliefs about Christianity. So they told of a woman named Bridget who was born in the year 451. Maybe there really was such a woman who was named after the goddess Bridget, like probably a lot of girls were in Ireland in that time. So the story says that her mother had been enslaved by her father, so Bridget was born into slavery. She grew up to be a strong leader and a generous person, so the Catholic Church declared her a saint, Saint Bridget. Just as the goddess Bridget was worshipped by blacksmiths, St. Bridget became the matron saint of blacksmiths. St. Bridget did something else that was very important. In her time and place, there was a very strong prejudice against women having power. But in her town of Kildare, she established the first monastery for women in all of Ireland, a nunnery, a convent. This gave women a whole new profession and a powerful role in their community and their church. They could be nuns, sisters, religious leaders, like so many of us here. When Bridget died, her sister nuns kept a fire burning in the convent in her honor. There it is. And it burned for centuries there in Kildare. So they kept two kinds of power going strong: their own leadership and the fire of Kildare's hearth. The Catholic Church added a holiday at this time, knowing that people were worshiping Bridget and doing their pagan rituals on Emolg. They added a holiday on February 2nd and called it Candlemas, the service of the candles. And maybe you know another holiday we celebrate tomorrow. Groundhog Day. Okay, that started in Europe with different critters, but for centuries, people have checked in with a hibernating animal, which must be very grumpy about it, to see how the rest of the winter is going to go. When people pray to St. Bridget, here's one of the things they say. Lady of the lambs, remember the sheep? Lady of the lambs, protect us. Keeper of the hearth, kindle us. Guide our hands in yours. Remind us how to kindle the hearth, to keep it bright, to preserve the flame. Your hands upon ours, our hands within yours, to kindle the light both day and night. The mantle of Bridget about us, like that warm cloak that you still need in midwinter. The memory of Bridget within us. The protection of Bridget keeping us from harm, from ignorance, from heartlessness, this day and night, from dawn till dark, from dark till dawn. When we are working hard for a better world, when we want to keep ourselves away from harm and ignorance and heartlessness, we can get very tired. We can get very discouraged. We can feel like people feel in these cold places when it's February 1st. We've been going this long and we've got this far still to go. It can feel like the middle of winter. We can feel as if we've been working for so long and we're still a long way from the world we dream about. And this is when it really matters to feel resilience in our very bodies. The legend of the goddess Bridget reminds us that we have a powerful fire within us, like somebody said, that can forge tools that will make a better world. And the legend of Saint Bridget, reminds us that the strong women of Kildare kept her fire burning, and we can keep the flame within our spirits burning. Here at Emolg, on our Chalice Sunday, we remember other people who kept the fire going, like the people of the Unitarian Service Committee who went into Europe in a very dark and frightening time and shone a light that guided others to freedom and safety. We can think of them whenever we light our chalice, not just today. It will be like lighting a fire on the hearth in the middle of a long, cold winter. It makes us feel warm. It gives us light. It gathers us around together to tell stories and sing songs. And it helps us know that we can stay strong until spring comes.